This is the If More Let's Divide podcast.
Yo, guys, what they happen? Charlie, welcome to the If More Let's Divide podcast. Another episode with the goal. Fred, this be the fourth episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie. Small. We they gather
Today
momentum.
you jigga for
Yeah,
the
man, Charlie.
The hoodie.
I came correct.
Yes, sir. Be
Yeah.
fresh.
Cut to the chase, Charlie. Who do we have?
Charlie. So, yeah, this young man, I met him a few years back, actually. One of the first art exhibitions at local house.
Oh,
And his work was amazing. I remember it was my brother's first show. Shout out Medici. But ArtSoul was one of the people he collaborated with, and he was a joy to meet, to experience his work, but also to hear his perspective on life. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's a dope-ass artist, man. So...
yeah, Fred already mentioned his name. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome ArtSoul.
Oh, yeah. I took that one from you. My bad. All right. ArtSoul, what's good, bro?
Hey, are they cool? But also now, say you know me, chair.
Yeah, you
That's why
for speak correct English. Yeah, we don't.
This the way you always tell people it's so funny to me because you just end up doing
Mutombo
whatever.
has known me for quite some time now.
For a while now. Yeah.
So, I used to, and probably Fred as well. I used to go by the name ArtSoul, but my actual name is Nana Danso, and that's the name I go by now.
Yeah.
But you go if you call me ArtSoul on the
Okay.
street.
Oh, so now you want people to call you by your actual name, Nana Danso.
Nana Danso, yeah.
Yeah. Am I knew that done him first though?
Yeah.
So it's going to be easy. So, ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome Nana Danso.
Let's go.
Charlie, what's up?
Charlie, everything cool. Everything
And
I like the setup.
here on the podcast, we always say, if you are lucky and we have stock, you are going to be served with palm wine. So, Charlie, we have palm wine in the house.
Let's go. Let's
Somebody
go.
today make ready.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Charlie, today, dear. Yo, Charlie, ArtSoul, what's up?
He give you alley-oop for a
The
question.
name,
man.
Charlie, it's going to be hard. Okay, Nana Danso.
No, that's what I'm saying. He just gave you an alley-oop for a first question, lead question.
What was it?
He just literally told us that he stopped going by ArtSoul.
Oh, Charlie, yeah. So, why? Why though?
Yeah.
It be too English.
I was so into pouring the palm wine and such.
Yeah.
You know what?
Uh,
It's crazy that you're saying that, but I literally just told my brother, Medici, that he should just go by Kwame J. Kwame Asafo J. I mean,
it's more powerful. It sounds.
I know I can't talk about this, but he just did something that I was privileged to be a part of Mutombo, and the name was special. I mean, you know what they talk about? For the house.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
The name was special.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what led to how?
We are bringing out some new artwork, like dope. Yeah, dopeness. Cool. Yeah. So why?
ArtSoul described who I was for a while. At some point in my art career or my pursuit for art, I was a certain way. I was delving into a lot of things that wasn't just painting. So it just felt like it described the essence that I brought to earth or something. But although it describes it and it became like a brand because my art became so tied to that name. Yeah. I also feel like it's an idea that I just brought to life.
Yeah.
And I have the same opportunity to just be myself and use my name and still bring the same ideas to life in a sense.
Yeah. Because ArtSoul sounds like a musician, someone like Maxwell.
Maybe the English is
Or like Music Soul Child.
Yeah, music.
Like
soul,
a Filika.
Yeah. I've bought art from you before.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago. And where I met you to buy the artwork was at the skate park.
Yeah.
The Freedom Skate Park. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was 2 years ago. Have you heard what is happening to the skate park now?
Yeah.
And what do you think about it?
I feel like it's a nice space for us to have fun and also express certain forms of ourselves, you know. But the issue that's happening there right now has to do with some land disputes and something that has to do with like documentation and things like that. And we, the users of the park, you know, we don't know the whole background of some of that, you know. But we just wish that the space is like being able to be conserved or used, or if not, and it's not that space, another space to be able to be like found and used. But we really like the vibe of what like the sports they bring, and it's new in Ghana here. So anyway, we go try push that kind of like sports and community vibe.
It's good you said that you don't know what's going on behind, you know, the screen, documentations and all that. So is it wrong, or have you also expressed your solidarity on social media?
I mean, it's not like an issue that's not clear what's happening, you know. We can express our need for the place to be there, but at this point, the solidarity, like, it doesn't provide so much, you know. This is not like a petition for something. It's more of like, this is my document. This is my document, you know. Okay, the document, the land is not yours. Let's fight for you. And then like you're fighting or something. But at this point, we don't really know. So it's like, you can't really express any, like, it's sad that it's not
sad.
there. But
it's actually sad. I wanted my son to go and learn how to skate. But
I just hope lawyers and those people, like people that can, you know, industry players can find a way to help.
I mean, I hope that the skate park will be retained so that we can all go there to have fun. And I am in solidarity, but I can't dive
do it
in.
with your chest.
Yeah,
so the solidarity, but it's like,
what's up? Whose land is it? Like, you know, I really don't know. So me saying that I can't jump into...
They just shouldn't harm any skaters or make it about like, you know, abuse anybody on any level.
Exactly.
Before talk them.
Exactly. Your style is unique.
Thank you, bro.
I've been following you for a long time. 2 months ago, I wanted to buy art from you, you know, and you gave me a price and it was too much. Did you remember? And I'm like, I wanted to buy art from you again. And, you know, you said the price was too high for me. At that time, I couldn't, you know, buy. I support. People will tell you, I support. Wow. And I love your style. It is unique. Where did you draw your inspiration from?
For the most part, I feel like the motifs come from this whole childlike play of drawing things. I remember today I kind of mentioned to my brother that when you think of, there was this drawing that we used to do in primary or JSS. You draw like a teddy bear, but you start with six. Yeah, six.
Throughout.
So he was asking me, why do I do the chest of the character like that? And like, why do I have that? And I was like, I just like 6, and I like the correlation with that childlike play. Yeah. So the first time that I was doing the characters, I just did one. I was like, okay, I'll add this here. I'll keep adding it, you know. So there's elements of some of the things that I learned as like a child, and also how I use that element to kind of like decipher or break down the new things that I learned as an artist, like painting real stuff and things. I was like, I want to talk about spirits, but I can't paint the spirit. So what is going to be represent the spirit, you know? And in Africa, I feel like, or Akan, spiritual, you know, philosophies and things like that. Our idea of spirit is not male or female, you know. It's like this non-binary. Or and the trans. Like it's not trans, but it's just an expression of whatever we think a spirit can be, like male or female.
That's Fred's favorite thing to talk about. No.
Transgender. But no, when a spirits get gender, Asasia, Utrediampon, Asasia be woman.
You know, the female gender is the supreme.
Yeah.
You know, lands are named after females. The water bodies are named after females.
Fertility.
Yeah, fertility. Like, the female gender is, you know, supreme. So, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. But Otrediampon is Bema.
Otrediampon? I don't think so. Because there is no gender
like there's no connotation. It depends on what the spirit is doing for the people or what it represents.
Otrediampon, it isn't female. Nyame, because we have been made to believe that God is male, we automatically, assign Nyame to a male, but no one knows. Nyame could be female.
Okay, today I don't want to take the conversation good there, so you make me
So cool. I was has anyone told you that your style is similar to Keith Haring?
Yeah, I feel like when I started drawing, maybe they thought the patterns and the similars was alike.
Who's
but
Keith Haring?
It's an artist
This
from
artist in the States,
Okay.
the moment was mostly based in
street
New York.
artist.
Is he older?
Dead.
Yeah,
Dead.
He's dead, yeah.
He was around like Basquiat and Wall
Yeah,
era.
around that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
People say that, but I feel like when it comes to art is not just about what you see in the patterns, it's the ideologies behind it.
Yeah.
And I feel like me and Kit Haring have like different ideologies. There's a way that he expresses his drawings that I don't do it in the same way. Maybe then I feel like in my own terms, it's like Akom or I don't know how to say Akom in English.
Are you Ashanti?
I'm Achim.
Achim, yeah.
See, like incantation?
Yeah, Akom to say.
Like prophecy? Or
No, like when the
Chant.
when the how do you call it, the fetish priest
when they
is doing a procession and
incantation.
Incantation.
Yeah. So it feels like that when I'm doing it. It's not like I'm drawing a boy at the beat. Nah, there's something that like talks through me, and sometimes it zooms me out into like just doing a whole bunch of it. And like I sometimes now come back and to realize what is going on, So sometimes it's not like I can't think of, let's say, Kit Haring had some works that were geared towards social rights, or like he could modify his works were a bit pop and contemporary, but some of my works, it's like, what is it? Me, myself, I'm just like, what is this? It doesn't relate to nothing aside from you going deep in your brain to try and relate it to things, So, I feel like there's that difference in the depth of it.
The very first time I saw your art, I was reminded of him. Yeah. I was reminded of him. And
Tom, I don't know say be art collector follower like that.
Yeah, I am so into the art. I'm so into the art. So how much? Right.
There's too much money.
How much have you made from your art? And do you think that artists in Ghana can live off their work solely artists, like you are just doing your art? Do you think that artists in Ghana can solely live off what they do?
Yes. I think artists can live off.
No, the first quick question first. Okay. Do you know something? Let me make it simple. Let me make it simple. What's the most figure that you've sold a piece for? Like the highest figure?
I would say maybe 20,000 for one thing.
USD or
Ghana cedi, right?
USD.
Shit.
if I clap again, see this now clap.
I mean, it's like there's a series of like ups and it's not like every time.
Does this thing come every day?
It depends on like how like what you're doing and what people are interested in.
So
It's not
if
like
did the 20,000 all go into your pocket, or you had people to pay?
I mean, I have a studio that I run, so there's people there in the studio that I pay, but it's not like I don't pay anybody. They bought it from the studio, basically. Yeah.
So the money all went into your pocket?
For the most part, like me, everything I've worked on so far, I've only gotten a few opportunities to work with galleries. Most of it, like I'm working from the studio. People act like agents, and the how do you call it? They see to the buying and the selling, and also people come to the studio sometimes to buy.
Wait,
is that intentional?
It's not intentional, but I feel like there's a certain group of people that are really drawn to what I'm doing, and it's not necessarily
Tumbo.
it's not necessarily like it's not necessarily people that are always rich or people that have money. So sometimes the selling of the work is not just like you're selling to collectors. Sometimes you're selling to people that you're connecting with. Or like, because Tumbo has my piece, but it's not like he bought it for the amount I mentioned, but he owns a piece. And I feel like it's more about that when it comes to like the art collecting than just selling. And me, I don't sell all the time. Like, I only sell when I need to run the studio, to be honest. Like, most of the time, if you come to my studio and I have so much work, and it's just like, why are you hoarding? It feels like I'm hoarding work. But I don't know. Hopefully, maybe I'll get that structure or system set up that will just make me do work that's like...
But you have... Okay, so that's just one piece. You are worth 20,000 USD now. Let's just say 20. I know it is small because you've sold multiple pieces. But let's just say you are worth $20,000 now. Can't you put together a team to help run your studio and even you better so that you can sell more?
You can, but it's also about working with people, because sometimes people have different ideologies and like systems of working, and some people are maybe geared towards money. Some people don't understand your brand. Some people everybody has their reason to work with you. So it doesn't even matter how much you pay them. If they don't, they can even put you in vogue, and if you don't become that person, it would never happen. So it's like you can't pay your way into like the success that you kind of like imagine.
Yeah, but if you search, I feel if you search, you'll find someone whose goals or vision aligns. Align, like someone who like you share a common vision, a common goal with.
Or maybe the question is, what do you want for your career, for your art? What are your aspirations? Like, what do you want your work to represent? Financially, economically, impact-wise?
I feel like my work is made for people that are trying to find themselves or trying to discover a new perspective of who they are. So firstly, I want to be able to reach the mass global scale of people that need a certain perspective. And I feel like it exists in different communities in different ways. But I can speak like for Africa here like this, I would say I've in my whole like years of growing up, I've never seen, let's say, a successful African that maybe was building a rocket or built a plane that's being held onto some esteem. And I'm like, there's so many artists here. Is it that they just can't imagine that I can do that? Or even like with what Saf Kantanka is doing, people just still can't imagine that he's doing that. It's like, why don't we have that imagination?
So he's just assembling things, but I don't want to knock him. So
but I'm just saying, even him just doing that, people can imagine that it's so like, like savior of all of us,
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's so much more that we can imagine about ourselves and so much more we can discover, and we need to change some perspective. So I feel like my work does that. I use my work to like push ideologies around new perspectives and just new ways of seeing and imagining. So globally, I want to be recognized as like a thought leader or like a visionary or somebody that's like helping to change a new perspective.
So how are you working towards that?
Like taking control of my narrative and being able to tell my stories.
So is that why you want to control everything? That's the reason why you don't want to employ people.
Not really. But I have people that I work with. Like I work with plenty of people, and some of them I've not even employed them. But like people, like I like collaborating a lot. I work with people, and people also work with me.
I'm not even talking about you collaborating with people on a particular kind of work. People who will sell you to the world, like PR.
Like management team.
Yeah, like a management team.
I'm working on that. Working on that. Yeah.
But you've been doing this for eons.
I mean, with every stage of like your art career comes something that you learn. It's not like the first day you come, all the galleries hold you. You have to learn about your art. You have to learn about the style you're doing, what it means to you, what you are sharing to the world, because it changes. Sometimes you just think you're doing something cool. Atso, you're a cool guy, but later you say, the thing, be like cool. This thing, like there'll be so many phases that you go through. Sometimes you don't even know what you need. So it's not like, I know I have to do the PR way and that way. As much as I can look at my career like a business and myself like a product, I feel like most of my mind is spent in like creative expression. So it takes me a while to like drift into the part. I'm like, okay, no way, I need to do this, go this way, and yeah. So
A lot of times, they say creatives. You guys are. They like to say that creatives are usually terrible businessmen. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm sure you know the reason why I'm asking you, but the reason why I'm asking you is because I get what Mutombo is getting at, but I'm also trying to get into your mind and how, as a creative, you perceive the goal that you have. Because you said you want a global presence. You want your work to permeate culture. But you're still hesitant about working with people because of whatever their motives are, so on and so forth.
No, I'm not hesitant at all. I'm just saying I've gotten a chance to be able to work with people, but it doesn't lead to things like, it doesn't lead to my goals, or it doesn't lead to, we don't kind of align basically.
Okay,
so it's
so
not like,
you're
I'm saying I'm not working with anybody. I'm always open to working with people, but
You
so
want
far
to
all
gauge
the
their
ones,
motives.
all the ones that are coming, they are not aligned. So I know that the way I'm still looking and the way I'm open there, I'll align, but I just don't want to, like, it's not only about money, because I'm also trying to build legacy as well. So it's
So what would alignment look like for you? I guess is what, I don't know why.
somebody that's thinking more of a long term like structure or plan, and not just maybe like some commission of sales of exhibitions and like or the money part. There's some parts that's money, and there's some part that's influencing culture, and some of them want to, like, they don't want to build you in your brand and your ideas to become that person, but they just want to be a part of like your money cycle. But the money cycle, sometimes it comes and it goes, and you can't really put all your
It looks
weight
like
on that.
Mutombo has a role to play.
No, I'm trying to understand Nana Danso, because I know I know this other side of him. So him saying that he doesn't find people who align, people who are in tune with his, spirit. He's just talking about spirit. Am I telling lies? Like,
Yeah, I feel like
yeah.
Nana
it's-
Danso, your kung fu.
yeah, he's a spiritual being, and if you're like him, it's difficult to find people, no matter how dope they are. Like, it's difficult to be in their, in their circle or their, sphere, or their, like, you are not in tune with many people because you are in your own world, in your own league. Am I right?
Sometimes I feel like that. So
How did you tap into your spirit?
I feel like it's my mom. My mom is a very like heavy spiritual person. It translates to everything, every type of religion that she got into, or like every.
Wait, how many religions?
Not
she
not
got
religion,
into?
but let's say how do you call it? Like she's into things.
Yeah.
Let's say. I don't know which detail I should give about her.
I mean, feel free.
But
whatever you don't want to.
She has explored a lot of spirituality, and
like
from
juju.
not juju per se, but like herbal spirituality, like people that do traditional, medicine. Yeah, not like, I want money or something, but like, let's say when I was a kid, if I broke my arm or something, we'll just go to some man in the fugu, because I grew up in Tamale. Some man in the fugu, you do some things, you drink something, power, and then you're done. But we'll go to church, on Saturday or something, because I was an Adventist, But that was the vibe. So I feel like
We're just talking about, did we talk about this? Like, you come out of church and then you go to the traditionalism.
Early on.
Because culturally, I have a friend that was studying Christology. And this thing came up quite a bit. And
Christology.
Christology.
Like,
crystals.
you using crystals?
No, Christology, Christian.
Hey.
Yeah.
Christology.
Yeah. So
So Christology.
you take up go PhD level.
Charlie.
Serious.
So there's a thing where what you're describing, right? Like the commingling of when the missionaries came, they'll be dealing with our people, especially the women.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll come to church. Excuse me. They'll be followers of the gospel and everything. But there were certain things that the women won't do. They say no. In their family, they don't do this, they don't do that. It was tied to their traditional beliefs and that aspect of their spirituality. So you mentioned how your mom would take you to a herbalist to try and, heal you because their faith or their belief was more in tune with we know this thing works as opposed to taking you to a regular hospital and whatever. And so that kind of informs maybe your background of how you approach the world.
Did. And she likes plants a lot. Like she'll take me to the backyard, the farm. I'll be doing the cutting. Oh, this one does this. Okay, add this to this, boil this, do this. Oh, hello, I'm feeling... Like when I call my mom and say I'm feeling some pain, the first thing that she'll think about, oh, add this to this. Like it's always plants,
You know what?
seeds.
One thing that I tweeted and people thought I was telling lies is plants talk to me. I grew up with my grandmother. Every vacation, I would go to wherever. And there's been multiple times. And even this friend of mine, Kojo Rasta. Do you know Kojo Rasta? Who's also into these herbal stuff. Looked at me and went like, Mutombo, I've watched you for a long time. You should have been something else, not what you are now. You should have been a prophet.
How do you hear the plant? Like, what's the process like? How does it feel like?
So the last time I dealt with a plant was 2020 or 2019. I went to the bushes, like the forest. I went on a hike and I saw this plant. It was a stem. And I told the guy to like chill. But what is this plant? I had never ever seen that plant before. That plant was normal, nothing extraordinary from the other plants. It was the same. I'm like, what is this plant? And the guy just looked at it and was like, yeah, this plant, his grandfather or his father told him that ants can chew that stem that you are seeing. Ants can never chew. Termites can never ever chew it. You know, termites chew plants a whole lot. Termites can never ever chew it. I'm like, I want this plant. That's the plant there. That's it.
In the corner?
Yes.
Is it dead or alive?
It is dead.
Okay.
But it is so strong that you can't easily break it.
Yeah.
Nothing can touch it. And I felt this strong connection with this thing that I had to cut. We had to cut it. And everybody was shocked. I'm like, nah, I need this thing.
Really?
And it has been there for at least a year or two. I don't know what's doing, but I know that
It has to be there.
it has to be there. And so we came out from the forest, and the guy was like, "Wow, why? But that log that I'm holding, his grandfather has told him about that thing before." I'm like, "I don't know it. I've never ever seen it before. But I know that's something." There are so many ways. My grandmother will send me to go and get her plants. Nana say like, I'm half pains here. There are days that I will come home with a different plants. There are days that I'll come home with a different plants. And trust me, they work or they don't work. You know, and it's try, then you win. But there are most of the days you just try and you know.
As in you apply the plant to the pain.
Yeah, you either boil and you don't know whether to boil or to mash or to grind. You don't know. You allow yourself to just go with the flow.
It's like a psychic feeling.
Yeah, it's a feeling.
Yeah, it's like an intuition of knowing what to do.
It's a feeling. Like there are teas. You know that I drink teas. I have so much teas here. I mix this, mix that, and the feeling that I get is different from when I mix that, mix this, and mix that.
Do you have a similar experience?
Yeah, sometimes like I have to bath certain things. Sometimes I have to like. There's so many like spiritual things I have to practice, just because there's.
And I know that about you. We haven't spoken about this thing before, have we?
Yeah, no, not
But
at all.
I know that about him. You know, I can anytime I'm around him, I go like, no, this guy has.
There's some. It's like, it's not something that's very. It's debatable too, because it's like magic. Some people think it's real. Some people think it's like tricks. But at the end of the day, some you can really watch it and like, yo, I don't understand this thing. Or like, what is it? I feel like that's how in tune we are with certain plants and certain herbs when we like open ourselves for it, because it feels like some frequency thing. Like your radio station is on and then you catch some frequency and like, nah, I hear this thing and I need to listen to it, and then you get a piece of it and you're like, okay, now I can tune into this all the time, you know. So it's like there's so many things that plants has taught me, and also like nature has taught me, and so many elements that I use with like nature and universal philosophies and things and spirituality that I use in my work. That's why in the first I was like, I get the similarities when they say, oh, it looks like it's herring, but it looks like it's not a means or like what the art, the energy that has been put in the art. So yeah, it's like I get that a lot.
The day we went for the hike, Fred, like 3 weeks ago, I came home with 2 plants. You guys didn't see when I was picking it up. And I'm like, for like 3 days, I hadn't slept. Like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and I wake up and I wouldn't sleep again. I came home with 2 plants, came to boil it with little water. I don't know. I just came to boil it with little water, drank it, and Charlie, I slept at 6 p.m. that day, 6 p.m. I woke up at 7 a.m. the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
You pick them as we they go down, as we they come back up.
As we were coming up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you were ahead of me.
Yeah. Yeah. One was a plant that you actually touched.
Wow.
You know, yeah. Where I just pick up like 2 or 3 plants. Just came to boil like little, you know, water, tea, drank all.
It happens like that. It's funny because me sometimes I make a funny joke about it. Like it's like I say in Crow, you be picking things from around town and then you come.
People don't actually believe.
Yeah, but when you're doing it too, it just happens.
I always say that every plant on earth has a purpose.
Yeah.
That I believe. You see, the parts that I'm not that inclined, I have always. There's things that I haven't spoken about out loud, but in my mind, there's certain experiences that I have that I'm like, okay, I feel like there's something out there in the natural world. But it sounds like you guys are more in tune with those things. And sometimes my heart breaks for, is it that it is a way to not study these things on the, let me not even say scientific level, because in the conventional way that you say you study things, because you saying that sometimes you will bathe with certain plants. Mutombo will pick a plant randomly and be confident enough to boil it
and drink.
To drink and all of that. Somebody will call it intuition. But don't you sometimes feel like it's a skill that's been passed on from your grandmother is deep into it. Your mom probably took it from and deep into it as well. So do you sometimes think of it as beyond the quote unquote spiritual, more so into like, yo, this is what we do, this is what I know, and I have a way about it that you can't just teach somebody overnight, but because you are around it for so long,
kind of green.
it's something that now is a skill.
I don't think it's a skill. I think because if it were to be a skill, like 90% of the plants that I use will be plants that my grandma used. But now I have discovered so many plants and even flowers and even roots. You know, when I say plants, it's the whole plant. It could be the flower, it could be the whatever pollen or whatever you guys call it, the branch, the roots. Like it could be any part of the plant. It could be just the bark. You know, and most of these things I never got from my grandma. Maybe my grandma, you know, injected something in me spiritually, you know, but skill, nah, I don't think it's a skill. I think, well, the people that we grew around, you know, actually influenced us to look towards that side, towards that, you know, plants, herbal side, you know, and that's, you know.
Nana, what would you say about?
I feel like it's similar. It's the things you see, because, like, as I just talked about, I was like, oh, that's what I've been introduced to since I was young, you know, and I have a certain belief that is real, because literally you heal when those things happen to you. Like you drink something, you drink some concoction, they are boiling something, and every time it works, you know, my mom will give you something, oh, eat this seed and drink this lime and thing, and you see you get running stomach the whole time. If you complain of maybe some stomach ache, after that, it goes. It's like they know things for bacteria and things like that. So after a while, maybe my intuition starts to develop its own concepts of what I think they are doing. And that's what maybe lead me to experiment or also like try other things. Like, oh, I'll boil this plant and I'll do that. And sometimes I'll call my mom to confirm. I feel like we do similar things. And it's probably because if you're into plants or you're in tune to nature, you have similar, like me too. I'll be breaking plants and holding, keeping them in my things and moving around with them, asking for. And sometimes when I go and sit behind trees, I feel some energy. I'll be like, wait, what's this tree telling me? No, and I have to like, I do this thing where it's like I have to take my shoes off. Like I walk barefoot sometimes, so that plants can talk to me, so that I can talk to plants. And it's something that like it happens to me once in a while, but it doesn't happen in the sense like, oh, I'm about to take my shoes off and walk and something to talk to me. It will just be like I can be painting and I feel like, go walk out, go outside. Why are you here? And then I'll do that. And then I'll start knowing, no, take this plan, take this thing, do this one and do that. You remember what your mom told? Like, it's weird information, you know, but...
Do you guys feel like maybe... I mean, it's cool that we're talking about it on the podcast.
This conversation is becoming plant-based.
No, plant-based, yeah. Very healthy conversation, along with the palm wine.
Healthy conversation.
Is it that you guys? I want to know this because my own curiosity, to be honest. But do you not maybe openly or readily share it as much because of the naivety of the world and how it perceives what you would say and call talking to plants or plants talking to you? Is that part of why maybe you'll be more understated in part of how you communicate?
Can I? So right now, I am a guest.
Yes.
On the podcast.
I want to hear your plant life.
So for me, right, if I have to talk about something, I'll talk about something. If I have to share something, I'll share something. No matter who I'm dealing with,
right?
I'll just share. Like quite recently, like on my Instagram, I posted it. Not quite today. I posted a picture and someone came to comment and we delved into paying people to take their photos. I'm like 90% of the time, I don't pay. I steal photos. I just, because I'm a street photographer. I'm a documentary photographer, street photographer. I don't light camera action. I don't do that. I hate that. I steal photos. But when need be, and I have to ask a subject to pose for me, and I think that I have to pay them, I pay them. And this guy was like, ethically, it's not right. I'm like, nah. The place that I'm from, I can't call someone who I can see is in need.
Yeah.
And tell them to come and pose and let them go because ethically, it's not right. I don't do that. forget all the books, the photography books that you have learned in your master's class or your PhD class. Where I am from, I go by how I feel. Someone is dead broke on the streets, and you are saying that I should just take their portrait and not even think twice. So for me, it's not because someone will frown on what I'm doing with plants or what I know with plants. If I have to share, I know that I have to share stuff with this person. And there are so many people that I have shared this with, and they are cool or they are confused. Then we talk about it. Why would you enjoy consuming paracetamol or naproxen or aspirin and not laugh when you are drinking living bitters? Like it doesn't make sense to me.
Is living bitters the one with monkey liver?
No, living bitters is so bitter. Like it's a purge. It will cleanse you.
Yeah.
Michael lied to me and told me he has monkey liver in it.
Yeah. So at Nana Danso, how do you?
I mean, people think it's naive or it's juju, or like sometimes you get a bit of that thing. Oh, you there. But it's about just choosing to pick who to discuss with, because sometimes you become very passionate about it. You don't realize, but it's like the way we are talking about plants right now, and we've talked about it for a while.
We've been talking about it.
You become very passionate about it.
We'll switch gears in a minute, but I think it's a very educative. What I'm interested in, and the reason why I'm probing with you guys is that I've held on to this thought process for a very long time, and I still hold on to it. That we are a very intuitive and intelligent people with deep knowledge about the universe. But because we haven't confidently spoken about it in terms of science, the world looks at this as African electronics. It's cool stuff. There's no science to it. But I'll tell you what I picked from what you just told me. There's a stem over there. Randomly, you go into the bushes, you sense something, and you ask about the plant.
It has been there.
And then you are told that this plant is indestructible by termites and the normal agents that will destroy it. So you pick it, you've brought it home, right? But for me, even though I don't have that same gift, what I'm taking from it is that, and that's why I was asking you about education, or do you consider it a skill? It's so embedded in you that you take it for granted and you think it's some intuition or whatever. I consider it a skill, and I'll tell you why. There's something that maybe your eyes and your intuition has been trained to feel and to be perceptive of. And the moment you honed it on that thing, you discover that there's a uniqueness about it that you are connecting with. And I'm not trying to be cuckoo right now, but that stem right there, I feel like so much of your personality. And no, I know they joke. So right now, to meet you, they take you go, audience, please bear with us today. We are doing juju. But no, seriously, Tombo, because of the things that you've been through, that you've told me, that I've heard and we've shared, that thing I'm looking at now means something completely different to me in relation to your personality. And I don't feel like that was coincidence. I felt like something that you've been trained with, embedded in you, led you to that. For you to be able to pick it out and bring it home with you and to say, you stay there. Because, but you the about what they talk. 100%. I know, say you know exactly what they talk about,
100%,
right?
100%.
Okay.
So,
it's part of the Nana Danso. So you, I mean, Mutombo, I know but the thing that he said about you sensing your energy, I want to take it back to your work. Because I want to explore a bit more about your work in terms of how how conflicting or how restrictive, if so, do you find that the fullness of yourself? Like, you know how sometimes you tell me that you just said that when you're painting, something will nag you to go outside and just, maybe experience nature, experience a tree, something like that. If you could close your eyes and forget about the world as you know it, is there something about your real self that you could bring to your practice in the open that you feel like you're not able to, or you haven't expressed yet, like you disengage that part of you from your work?
I feel like there's multiple versions of me. There's parts of me that is into like music production, film, photography. There's parts of me that's into writing. There's parts of me that's into fighting, combat sports.
I'm coming to that.
Skating. There's so many aspects of me that I don't necessarily showcase it in like my art or say, oh, like it's not part of the wholesome me. But those who know me from different aspects know me. Like I quite remember we had a group called New Spirituals, and I was part of that group because of music, and production. And although I was contributing art ideas, like the music brought me into that space, Music allowed me to know certain people, and it has nothing to do with art because I was very like into production, like DJing, mixing, things like that. So there's aspects of like my skill set or my lifestyle, the things that I do in my day-to-day that I don't necessarily highlight because some of these things is not like I'm not doing music to become a global musician or a pop musician. I really like doing it. I wouldn't mind being credited as a producer and arranger on something, but the goal of it for me is not to like be like a music star, So yeah, there's aspects of me that it's not necessarily like a goal or what my focus is on, but I still like do all those things. So yeah, I feel like I've been able to, but I don't share as much of certain other aspects of things that I do just because it's a lot, and sometimes I don't know if it's my hobby or yeah.
I think I love that you took that in that direction, but what I was more asking was about, so you say that you sometimes bathe with certain leaves.
Okay.
No, I like that.
I get what. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you go outside and you feel like you're feeling nature, talking to it, it's talking to you, and then you express it in your artwork. That's how you even said. What's the name of the artist that you mentioned?
Keith Haring.
How you differentiate your work because you feel like your work is from a spiritual perspective. I'm asking to say that. Say I wanted to put on like a gallery display of Nana Danso.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like in any part of your practice where you were painting, you were engaged, and you did say that sometimes you feel like you are in a zone, like you are in that spiritual mode.
Yeah.
Is this something that if you could, you will share that while you are in that mode with the world, for the world to see that entire process in real time?
Yeah, I feel like I have a video that I put on YouTube of an art performance that I was doing, and that's a prime example of it. It's called Our Differences Makes Us the Same. It's on YouTube, but it's about like, although I do it or I get in the zone, it's more of the process of doing it. I don't recognize myself doing it, or I don't say, okay, it's now about to start. Because sometimes I can be painting and people are in the studio, we are all talking, it's a normal vibe. But at some point, I don't talk to anybody for like 2 hours. And everybody kind of realizes that, okay, he's not here, but it's like you never really know when it's happening. And then it just happens. And then after that, and also I feel like one aspect of my work that is not really highlighted is like, it's heavily spiritual, I feel like I'm a shrine for what I'm doing. And like I just take care of them, but because I'm trying to highlight ideas from a spiritual world. You know, the way we haven't really seen angels in a physical form or in a physical like reality, but we have a very vivid imagination of it. I'm trying to let African people understand that we can create our ideas of what spirits mean to us and the imageries that like drive it. And in order to reach that, like it's not just it's not a surface level kind of thing, because there's energies that were being put behind the imagery of whoever created the first idea of what an angel should look like, or the first idea of what Jesus Christ should look like in a painting or in a sculpture. There's an energy that was put behind it that was like, it's like she in Sagua say they worship, they make it the thing, you know. It's like you create form and you put life into it. And at this time, I feel like I've put so much life into the eyewitness or the characters that I'm doing that it gives off energy, whether like I like it or not. Because sometimes it happens to me too. Like I watch it, I'm like, yo, what is this? Some paintings make me feel uncomfortable. Some paintings make me really think about things. Like it's just, there's so much energy that's being like generated from it. And I feel like that's one aspect that probably like is downplayed. But me, I know, and some people know, and they share with me as well. So yeah.
So we had Bright Akwe, the artist, on season 1 in one of our episodes, and we spoke, you know, about his art, you know, and all that. What do you think about his work?
Bertako was one of the first artists that I asked for things for, like when I wanted to start I seeked for answers from him. He was very receptive. Like him is not just about his work, you know, it's about like his entity. I feel like the art that I do and my way of expression is more aligned with people that have the lifestyle of an artist. And I feel like Bertako has that energy, you know, like it's not just about his paintings, but his viewpoints, the way he behaves, like his demeanor, how he sees things, how like the things that are funny to him, you know, it's so like way different from just liking someone for their art. I feel like most of the times when I like artists, it's not just because of what they paint or what they do, but it's about like their process of living to get to their point of like art. Yeah, so I really like his work a lot. I feel like I just like his vibe.
Yeah,
I like his
dope.
energy. Yeah.
So Bright's work gears towards politics, you know, social commentary and all that. And yours, there is some social commentary and there is the spiritual, you know.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a point where your work and Bright's work comes, you know, together, like gels so easily? Or you think that you guys are like worlds apart?
I feel like we are on the same scale up when it comes to like thought provoking. Because when you see his work, it's like, like what, like why would you? We know it's real, like it's painted real, but it's like, why would you make someone shit on someone, like on this, and why is there like, it's so much thought provoking. It's like, why? And I feel like the energy that I use my work to produce is why. So we're on that same level where it's why do you like, is he a man or a female? Like, why is there this? Or why is their nose big? Like, people ask a lot of whys, and we are on that, like, I feel like that's how our works gel, because his work there, Charlie, you just want, why is this, like, why, what are you thinking about?
Yeah.
You know, I know it's politics and, like, social commentary, but, like, why are you combining them in that form? What, like, you know,
Dope.
Let me ask you, are you formally educated as an
artist?
As an artist?
Yeah.
No, I did science and SS.
Okay.
And I did I feel like my uni life, I just erased it because I dropped out of uni my 3rd year.
Okay.
Because I wasn't satisfied of the trajectory of my life based on what they were teaching me and based on my lifestyle and the things I was into. So yeah, I did sociology and psychology, some philosophy. It was a dual course. I don't remember. I'm a bit like, I don't remember right now. But everything that I learned so far in my education was geared towards science and becoming like some form of scientist.
Okay.
You know, like, because I like science too. Like, I like reading and like chemicals and science class, biology, things like that. You know, so that's my only. I feel like the reason why I like science is when I was doing science in SS, it was so much drawings and like diagrams and things like that. I mean, when it came to the diagrams, I was A1, like, you know, so most of my favorite questions were like, maybe they'll put some section B or draw the digestive system and draw. Bro, I know that this one, the 25 marks ASAP because it's going to be textbook type drawing, you know. So it made like I was very, and when we're doing science to like chemistry, it's not all our things, practicals that we do there. We use the actual tools. You have to draw it and things. Like I was so good at those kind of things, you know, draw like animals and label the parts and things like that. So those things made me feel like maybe I should be doing visual art, you know, because even in the science class, they used to call me to visual art class to be drawing for them and things like that. So I feel like my education that came from art was more of curiosity and experiments that I did through like, oh, maybe I could draw. Let me figure this thing out. Let me check this out. But it's fully science, you know, fully science.
We are the original scientists. I think sometimes we shy away from embracing. I'm not trying to take you guys back to plants, but I'm so very curious.
Plant-based.
Plant-based. But it's like,
Plant
you know,
talks.
I tell people this story all the time. I named my company Fractal because it's science-wise. The algorithm, as we know it, was gleaned from African culture, African mathematics. A group of researchers came to our part of the world, and they discovered that how we were building our straw walls was so formulaic. There was a methodology to it that they couldn't understand that, the human being they thought was primitive was so calculated.
Yeah.
And this is a TED talk about it. So if you want to look it up and verify that I'm not lying, this guy was talking about how when they came to the village, they encountered this, you know, sage-like guy. He's building the straw walls, and he went to him to ask him about how he was coming up with this formula.
Yeah.
And our people, and I'm saying this for you and Mutombo's benefit, we're like, oh, no, this method here, before we can teach you, you have to, I don't know if I've told Tombo this, so sorry. You have to sleep in a room for 3 days, chew a rat, do this, do that, before we can reveal the formula to you.
Yeah.
Long story short, the guy managed to get the guy to show him, and he realized that there was mathematics, real mathematics behind how they build the straw walls for it to be that strong to withstand the winds and all of that. And that was the basis for which they used to create the algorithm that is the foundation of computing. And the reason why I'm on you guys is that the intuition that you say is not a skill, I believe, because our society is not maybe commercially driven, we are not a people that's trying to use our thing to exploit and to create commerce at a high level. We're hesitant to label it certain ways, but there's value in the secrets that you guys know. Like, for instance, if Mutombo or you, because you have all these experience with leaves, I know there's some concoctions that you know you can do that. Stomach ache, it will go. Headache, it will go. If you guys decide to say, you know what, let me study this thing and figure out the elements of it that's actually having the impact, then that will be called science. Right? But right now it's intuition that's telling you. Do you remember when he was talking about the leaf that he plucked when we went? He said he boiled with a little water. Do you know how many times he said little water? He said it about 4 or 5 times. Little water. Little water. That is basically formula.
Yeah, because there are some plants that I have to boil it. Like that's one of the few that I had to boil with it, and I don't know why I did, but They keep the little water.
Little water
Infuse
is
it nicely.
you have 2 portions of. If they go do what did they call them? Abombet. That be medicine. They go tell you add this, add that.
Yeah.
That's portions.
Yeah.
That's methodology.
Yeah.
But something is telling him that this plant requires little water. Yeah. And I was just sitting here listening to you and you're saying little water, little water. I'm like, why is this guy honing on little water?
It's a formula.
It's a vital aspect of achieving what you need to achieve. So if we are more vocal about it, because you say, why will you take all those drugs, they are killing us. Our people are suffering. No one is looking out for them. Maybe your prophet's time is here. Maybe you shouldn't be bathing the leaves alone. Maybe you should be sharing.
Do you think artists play a role in nation building, development, and growth? And if you think so, what role are you playing? If you don't think so, just forget about this question.
I think for the world that we've known so far, most of the things that we've experienced with our eyes were created by artists, and every artist had their reason for making what they did. Some didn't make them for the purpose of art, but the purpose of functionality, but they had to sit down and draw it and design it and think of the concept and just go through the process of an artist. And there's a lot of people that play that role here, but as in it being vital, it depends on how like the scale of it sees it. Because if I feel like my role for art here in my society is to influence imagination. And to let people relate their imagination to their self-identity and see that the things that you are imagining or the things you can imagine is what you become. The things that you're experiencing with your eyes, that you're thinking of, that's existing in your whole mainframe, is what you become. So I contribute to that aspect of people we are only watching the news and we know what the news is saying. The aspect of people saying, wait, why is this here? Like, what's this painting doing here? Like, is there a reason? Does this person, okay, maybe relating it to their life, thinking, so this person is just going around. When I do street art like this, that's the purpose of public art, to make people just have an interaction that's not the normal public pollution that they usually get, because I feel like street art is some form of public pollution as well. Just that it's a striking pollution than just it being it's a striking and influential pollution than just it being a banner for advertisement. There's people that it's just opening different sectors of their minds for them. So I feel like I contribute to that. But as in, for people to respect that or for people to see that as a contribution, it's up to the needs of the people. Maybe in Africa right now, or just an example, people might be thinking about, we need food and our roads to be good and things like that. So although they've interacted with your art and it has sparked a certain form of imagination, it's not recognized or it's not relevant to them because they need food and water. Like, okay, cool, it's different, but there's a group of people that will always need that.
I think, so what I want to say here is that I think art is factually the first form of human language, right? Before we could write, we could speak and write any type of alphabet or whatever. Art was the first form of communication. And it's such an innate thing. The closest thing I can describe or compare it to is like oxygen, air. You were just saying something about when people don't know if it's there or not. And I feel like the role that you're playing in people's mind's eyes, art is so essential to human existence, but we take it, it's not that we take it for granted, but nobody really wakes up saying, where's my oxygen?
Yeah.
Do you understand? You don't go looking for it.
Yeah.
You might go looking for water.
Yeah.
You might go looking for food.
Yeah.
So it's forefront. But air, you expect it to be there so much so that you forget about it, unless you actually truly are suffocated out of it. And for me, that's what the role of artists is so essential to human progress, because what you guys communicate, what you guys do, and that is any other form of creativity. You know, it really gives people the comfort and sometimes the laxity to just say, oh, they might see something that you did, it inspires them, and then along the line, they will forget where the source of the inspiration was, because it just clicked and it moved them towards a certain direction. And so keep up and keep doing what you need to do.
I mean, you shared that you have sold a piece for $20,000 before. And I can imagine the work that went into that piece. I can even imagine the size, you know, the colors. I'm trying to imagine them right now. You know, it took so much work. What do you think when, for example, a stroke or 3 strokes of paint from a brush, from a painting brush, sells for $1 million?
I think it's good.
Is it a scam?
I think it's good PR and marketing. Oh yeah.
The game is the game. B.
The game is the game. It's good PR and marketing, because artists know, like, let's say you were mentioning some things about PR in the start. You know, I could just hire a PR and just leave everything to them and say, yo, make a blow. Make a like.
This is the game.
I'm playing the game. But there's some parts of trying to establish an idea that kind of like can leave a legacy that you can't just leave to PR, because PR is a game, you know. And in order to play the game, you have to kind of understand your role in the game, you know, whether you're a side character or like your main character, or you're just like an idea for people to access or whatever. I feel like that's how some of the artists, or that's how some art gets very known, you know. You know, like, it's done, okay, it's cool, it's fresh, all the deep meaning is to it. It is what people think it is. But then to get it to sell in a certain like market or a certain amount of money, it goes beyond just it being art.
Of course. Of course.
It's not just you painted and you're deep and like it. People don't care. I mean, sometimes the person that even bought your work for $1 million doesn't even know what your artist statement or bio looks like.
Exactly.
You know, they are guys like, yo, you have to buy this now.
Yeah.
And the fans are coming in.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing out there.
Yeah. So it's PR. It's more PR. And me, I don't feel any bad about artists that can do that, because even getting your PR to be on that level is a different skill in the art world. You know, so yeah, people do that. Like, I'm also excited that people can do that.
Yeah, but quite recently, it's well, I've read at places that, you know, it's a form of people are laundering money through art.
Absolutely. Fuckingly. Yeah, you listen. That one there.
Every day.
But you know why?
Yeah.
I mean, art is one of the non-taxable, like, you know, incomes in a lot of the developed world. So if you want to pass on your wealth where the government is hands off, you can put it into an art piece and say, I bought 6 art pieces this year for $1 billion. And no one is going to come and ask you questions.
And it's imaginarily scalable. Like,
we can wake up and sell this piece tomorrow
or we can sell this like calabash at some point through PR and say, oh, I came to use this calabash for a podcast, so we are selling it for $1 million. And somebody will buy it, you know. It has nothing to do with it.
Depends on how the podcast blows, though.
Have you guys heard of the piece that was sold that was an imaginary painting in the artist's mind?
It's a cycle, it's a square on the...
Yeah, he's described it, but
there.
nobody has ever seen it. It went for $850,000.
Yeah, and you can go where he showed that it's there, for you to just go and stand there and just, okay, it's here. But you don't really know. It's good PR. I feel like art and PR and marketing, they tie together when you're getting to a certain level of buying and selling. But also, like, when you're also focused on your story and like the things that you're trying to say, you kind of like hopefully go through a process of understanding the type of PR you even need, you know, and the way you want to tell your story. Because Charlie, PR go fit do anything, you know, whether you are making sense or not.
I'm keen on your perspective on this. Selfishly, by the way, what do you think of the current surge in interest for African art and African artists? Like, there's a huge
Market,
spike
yeah, Charlie.
and market for our artists. And as a side question, in addition to that main question, it seems like blackface
Yeah.
has become a new penchant or new form of representing the, you know, our people, our culture, and the pastel colors attached to the blackface by extension of what do you think was happening with the main, you know, driving factor of African art being popular and all that?
I feel like for African art being popular, it has always been, but the people that were the stakeholders of our narrative, I feel like they weren't very youthful at the point where we needed them to be and to push. But now all the creatives that are doing art right now, they are youthful, like they know what's going on. The information is out there, people are online, people know what's up. So it's easy for like us to merge our energies together and say, you know what, this is the vibe we are all going for, you know. So that I feel like that's what's pushing the arts in Africa right now, because a lot of young people are the ones that are running the scene, you know, and young people always have energy to push. So right now, the way it has picked, it will pick for a long time, unless the people that are young, right, they grow old, you know, or they just maybe mismanage their goals or whatever. But yeah, I feel like that's what's happening. There's more youth creating art right now as a form of work and as a form of expression, and that's making us relevant in the art space. It's not just some old people or some people, OGs, or, you know, there's a mixture of energy. And also, I feel like for the black portrait,
It's not your style.
I mean, like me, if you paint, like I don't mind painting black portraits or figurative painting. I just feel like the art world is not necessarily controlled by the artists. You know, it's controlled by maybe a group of people or art groups or collectives that are in charge of the trends or the market. You know, and it is the artist's duty to kind of shape their narrative towards like, oh, I mean, the blackface doesn't mean this or it does that. But all the artists that do it, they have their own narrative to it. So at this point, I'm just like what? There's no problem, you know.
Yeah.
They are saying they know why they're doing it.
Okay.
It makes them money, but they know why they're doing it. Maybe at some era they might not know why they're doing it, or they might do something else. But if this is the trend and they feel like, okay, for my career, this is what I should do now, that's cool. Maybe in some era it wouldn't be relevant. And then people will say, oh, African abstract artists it's now becoming a thing. And, you know, things like that. First, I thought also like black portraits was like, it's like, okay, you're painting somebody else and it's in somebody's house. Like, what is it, you know?
Yeah.
But also I realized that it's more of like, it's a sign or it's a result of like things didn't add up in the art world when it came to like figurative paintings and like black people and culture, you know. So that was the easiest hanging fruit for them to use. Like, oh, this is done by a black person because it's a black portrait, you know, because obviously a white person wouldn't be painting black. They'll get a lot of, you know, yeah. So that's the easiest way for them to say this done by a black person is that, and they'll probably not push the abstract ones that's competing with some other white artists that, you know, doing stuff. It's not like a racist thing, but it's like the art world has people that manage it and that has people that create it, you know. And yeah, they go for what they like. It's up to the artists here to decide that, oh.
So, Tombo, I know you got a couple of things to say, but I just want to kind of put out there that for me as a casual consumer and observer, it seems a very perverted way that the West still takes control of our narrative, because think about it, in every other circumstance, blackface generally is considered offensive.
Yeah.
Then somehow they have managed to convince or buy all of our top contemporary artists to now self-express or manifest.
Paint blackface for us to buy.
And we're doing it for all of the money.
Yeah.
And the dignity of who we are in our essence be damned, because we're blackface in Western clothes.
Yeah.
Give me $1 million.
Yeah.
Fuck it. And it's all hanging in spaces where naturally, when you visit or walk into, you're never going to feel the spirit or presence of our people, our ancestors. It's not going to tell our story, our narrative. It's going to be, oh yeah, this piece was there. It's almost like self-inflicted kind of, denigration. But anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I love that you're not one of those yet. But if it brings you $1 million, bro.
I mean, I go fi paint edits, and I'm about to paint black portraits. I'm about to paint abstract paintings. I'm about to paint animals, flowers, like everything. At this point, I feel like my art, the eyewitness, it's an art project that was very successful. It made me realize I can put together an idea that can hold, and I don't want it to limit like my ability to do other things, because I actually even before black portraits became popular and I was doing the eyewitness, I was painting portraits of people, like black portraits, but it wasn't something I was putting out. It was more of like an expression and
as in black face or just black people?
Yeah, like people, like painting people.
Oh no, that one I don't have a problem with, but I'm talking about like the exaggerated black face.
Yeah. It's a thing. It's a marketing thing that they use.
Okay.
But
it's fine.
We go do everything. So
why did you get into kickboxing?
Because I've been thinking about it too, but I realized that it started from Tamale. In Tamale, like, it's wild. It's not like it's wild. It's calm, but like people are vicious when they have to be. Like, people are lethal, and there used to be fights and things like that. So I kind of like built some slow aggression and like some hotness from that, from just growing up there. And there's fights in school, and the fights are interesting because some people take agbala, juju, and things. Like, some people are like,
does it work?
Yeah, it does work. You see it, that they're cutting somebody and they're not cutting.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, Tamale, no be joke. Me, I saw that very young too, so it's like
that they are cutting somebody is not cutting.
Yeah, like when they do the festivals, even there's so much like vicious things that
I have walked on a bridge that wasn't a bridge before. Like, I was going to check out this land in some bushes, and and I went with some people, and we got to a place. There was a stream, and the guy had told us that there's a stream here, but we have to figure out a way. And my guy was like, nah, we should go. We got there, just Incantations, a bridge, not a bridge like concrete bridge, but a platform came that we just walked on. And
can you talk some things?
Yeah. And the guy who was going to show us the land started shaking. He peed on himself.
He did joke.
I'm like,
you see me, I'm when it comes to these things, I'm such a non-believer.
It's real. There are things that people do or people tell me, and I just laugh, because what I've seen in this world,
really,
none of them.
In Tamale, the buff people a lot, like for fighting, for strength, for things like that. It's like they've born. It's part of your naming ceremony.
Yeah, you know, seance, right? Where they bring out, someone who's dead for you to talk to them.
And people in my family do that every time. They say they've gone to call my father. I say, why me? Let my father come and talk to me.
I've tried that several times, like to talk to my mom especially, and she doesn't want to talk to me.
Why?
I don't know, because I think when she died, there was this rite that was made, pour libation. Like, they called us into a room with her body and pour libation and all that, and just cut the cord between us. you know. So,
Yeah, I've heard about that.
yeah, so every single time that I like a seance, you know, like nah,
It's
doesn't
not
want to talk.
happening.
Turn her back to me. That's nah. Doesn't she has nothing to tell me.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
I don't feel any type of way. Like I really don't feel any type.
I
of
mean,
way.
but you must have a reason that you want to talk to her for.
Yeah, I mean, to share stuff, not to find out stuff. To share.
Did you have questions or like you're just like okay,
No, what's
whatever?
going on with
Yeah.
me? What's going on with me? But you know the alternative. I have a snap bottle in that room. The room that she was laid in, right? I pour libation there when I want to tell her something. And that's helped. Like I don't get any response, but it takes off some weight. Yeah.
You know, so mine is always funny because it boils down to the legal. I have people in my family who, I come from a large family. My granddad has seven children, all kinds of family disputes. And sometimes they'll run into me and tell me, yeah, I went to call your father. And your father said this. So your father said this, or my grandfather said this. And I always laugh because I know my heart. My heart is clean. Nobody has to tell me that, but within myself, I know that my intentions are pure.
Yeah.
So every time that they say something to me on God, every time they say something to me that they spoke to my grandfather, they spoke to my dad, what I feel and what I hear is that the side that they are on is the wrong side.
Yeah.
It's
You
crazy.
are going to share your land problems with us.
No, be land problem. If they talk some things, then I'm like, my father said this. I'm like, the way that I listen in my mind, I'm like, there's nothing else that he's telling you. What he's telling you is the right thing. So I don't know. That's my closest. Me, myself, I've never gone to call anybody. I don't.
You don't necessarily have to go and call. Sometimes they come to you in dreams.
Yeah.
Like dreams, like we underrate dreams.
Yeah.
Like I go to bed and say and you know hope that I dream and get an answer for a problem that's occurred during the day. And it happens.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Not every day, but most of the time it happens. Yeah. Nana Danso, Charlie, thank you for coming to share your art with us. Now we know that you
You
have.
should have brought us a piece, you know. We need to
now,
put one of your
now we
pieces.
know that you have more than
I brought some
$20,000
Hey.
in your
But
account.
see, you know, be like that too.
Now we know.
You say make I give
So
you
we are
data.
going to rate.
It's
We are going to
data.
gauge you.
Oh, I'm giving you data. Give me data.
Charlie, thank you for.
You said you brought something.
Yeah, I brought some. It's not like huge, but you know, I brought some stickers and like pens.
No, yeah, Charlie. I would
Oh,
want
nice.
one sticker for my
Nice.
for my phone and for my laptop.
Nice.
For
nice,
sure.
nice.
Charlie, Nana, so Charlie, we thank you for coming through. Charlie, what's your social media now?
_ Nana Danso
Underscore.
Chai,
Yeah.
and big ups on really going Nana Danso because
Yeah.
for me, I'm always, I'll keep saying I'm a Pan-Africanist or I'm African-centric.
Yeah.
And I love when we take ownerships of who we are. The name Nana Danso is a powerful.
Yeah.
When you said Nana Danso, I don't know why, but for me, it felt like almost like a comfort type of.
Yeah, it's a powerful name. I've been running away from it, but now I feel like I embody the energy.
Yeah,
so
Nana Danso is. With the moment you said it, I was like, okay.
There are so many Nana Dansos in the world, but maybe the person you were named after was like superior.
Yeah.
Were you named after someone?
Yeah, he did boxing and things. So
Oh, cool.
So I know
Your
his name
uncle,
is
your father?
my father's brother.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, he was so wild. He was not religious. He had like multiple wives. He had like
I-
things.
I-
He
I
said
know.
it's a
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
different
yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
So I know that's definitely
Dope.
Yeah.
Shouts to Nana Danso, wherever you may be. But this is the new Nana Danso, formerly known as Us. So we thank you for coming through, Fred.
We're done, man.
Charlie, thank you.
Shout out to the Scully.
Yeah.
Fella.
Charlie, you guys. You have to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Yeah.
You have to leave us a review.
Ask Mutombo where the what's the name of the hoodie?
Threaded Tribe.
Threaded Tribes. He tried over me this week, so next week look out for me. I'm coming.
You are very something.
We thank you for coming through, Charlie.
Yes, sir.
We out.
Wait.